see, where's this weird red thing here? Can I see it? Dashboard. View stream. All right. Is that thing even moving? All right, I think the camera is totally not happening today. It's very slow. Hello to everybody online. Thanks for popping in. I don't know that we're going to have, it is fighting us today, so we're going to see how this goes. Good, all right. Technology, right? Okay. Oh, God. This thing just moves so... So, while I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on here for myself, come to find your comfortable seat. If you've been seated cross-legged as you have for just a little bit, feel free to switch the cross of your legs. It's just flying around either a little bit or a lot. Hopefully people online can see. I'll keep trying to keep an eye on the camera here, but it is giving us funny messages today. So welcome. There was hips and hamstrings, right? Yes. Fans. And any other needs or wants for people today? All right, cool. If there are moved to ask for something later on or throughout the practice, feel free to. It's a good sized class. We'll have some time to go to the wall. There'll be plenty of space there. I can give some more support alternatives along the way here if you would like to. And we'll see what comes of this all. It seems to be working. All right. So let your eyes come closed or your gaze become soft and unfocused. Let the breath begin to ground you in this moment. Let these full breaths that allow the belly to expand and the rib cage and chest to lift start to show you some of the early places where there might be some tension in the body. And with each exhale, let the distractions of the mind, let tension in the body release. The in-breath that follows to hold that space, to expand that space, and to reground yourself a little deeper in the present and in yourself with the next exhale. And just notice how it feels to be in stillness and to breathe. And begin to make more intentional breaths here. And let the next inhale be very full. Just before the exhale is about to begin, draw belly button in and up. Add a little engagement to the front of your body to help to guide the air up and out. And maybe sit a little taller in your seat as you follow the air as it rises up to leave. The next inhale, same thing, expand. If you still have that contraction, now there is a boundary that is there, and our breath has to move elsewhere. And if the shoulders are starting to lift toward the ears with the breath, on the next exhale, can you stay tall, but let the shoulders settle, let the knees get a little heavier, let the palms rest a little more heavy. And stay here if you would like to, or on the next in-breath, bring your hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra, setting the intention and the reminder for ourselves here of self-reverence, to listen to our breath, body, and minds when we're on the mat, and to remind ourselves to do those things off of the mat as well. Just 2 more breaths here in Anjali Mudra if you have it, or in stillness and in your seat if that's where you are. And with your next exhale, as we find that lift, let the chin lift, let the eyelids lift, release the hands down alongside you. Nice full breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And on the next inhale, if you want to, hands to your side or walking your hands in front of you, come out of your seat, place your blocks towards the front of your mat, and come into a tabletop position here. Length of the fingers grounded into the floor, knees just a little bit behind the hips. You can have the toes untucked. We're going to do some balance here, and it can be a little easier to find your balance with toes tucked. But we'll start with some cat-cow stretches. You can have your feet however you would like to. Inhaling for your cow stretch, intentionally sending the heart forward, sit bones lift, crown lifts. And on the exhale, curling into yourself for cat. Adding to the intention here, the next inhale, press the hands down, try hugging them back toward the knees so you're pulling the heart forward. And then the hands push down and away from you as you give yourself the extra support to round the back. We'll do that one more time on each side, but that one more time might be longer for some of us. You can take a full inhale, exhale, and another inhale in your cow stretch. Exhale into cat, inhale in your cat. Exhale in your cat once more. Next inhale, we'll all find ourselves back at neutral in our table. Feeling the pressure through the hands as we start to get into the balance portion here pretty quickly and see how that feels on the wrists. We're going to take one step back with that right foot. And you can press through the heel, stretch out the whole back side of the leg there. The shoulders will move back as the heel keeps pushing further back. And then the heel keeps pushing back, but then we also ground through the ball of the foot and try to push that back to send our shoulders back over the wrists. Come on to left finger pads. Inhale, lift right thigh from the inner right thigh parallel to the floor. Probably want to be very intentional with engaging your core and lifting a little bit more through the mid-back. You can stay here for balance. You can reach your left hand forward for balance. Left hand hugs to center. Feel a little broadening through the left shoulder blade. Right inner thigh hugs to center, especially the big toe ball mountain, so the toes are pointing down. Give us a little more openness on the low back and the hip there on the right side. And you can stay here for another full round of breath, or on your next exhale, like cat stretch, draw elbow and knee towards center. Hold for a second. Inhale to extend back out. Reach through the fingers, reach through the heel. Nice full inhale here. And on the next exhale, come back to your table. Come right up onto right finger pads right away to give that wrist some release. Step the left foot back. Exhale to stretch through the back side of the leg there. Little pulsing motion if you would like to. And then same as on the other side. That left ball, the foot presses down in a way to bring shoulders back over the wrists. Lift inner left thigh to lift the leg, but keep that foot flexed. Feel the big toes hugging to center. And maybe reach right hand forward. But find your midline energy for stability. Palm hugs to center. Inner left thigh hugs to center. Stay here for about 2 breaths. Or one full inhale here, and on the next exhale, draw knee and elbow to center, a little bit of a cat stretch with less of us touching the floor. Inhale to extend back out. And on your next exhale, bring both hands and feet to the floor. Untuck the toes if you had them tucked. Keep the knees a little bit closer as you send the hips back behind you. You can keep the hands overhead. You can bring the
come onto finger pads so the palms are lifting and fingers are trying to hug toward each other to give support and some movement and blood flow through the wrist, through the carpal tunnels, through the forearm. If you're on finger pads, you'll notice the outer shoulders and armpits want to lift here as well. Inhale, let the breath expand through the back body. And on the next exhale, if you're on finger pads, bring palms back down to the floor. Press them down, hug them back toward the knees as you push into the feet to move from child's pose to down dog, tucking the toes on the way to your down dog. And play a little bit here in stillness first, an opportunity just to stretch through the back of both legs. If there feels needed for you, you can pedal through the legs a little bit, getting into the ankles, letting one side of the body get a little more stretched than the other. And we'll ultimately come back to a place of stillness. We're going to make our way toward a crescent lunge. For some people, may want to step right through that, right through into that. But we have some other things along the way here, if you would like to. As you ground down through the hands, hug them toward each other. Push the sit bones away from the front of the mat. And on your inhale, take your right leg to the sky. Good. Bend the knee, heel to same side sit bone, and on the exhale, come forward to core plank, knee to chest. Again, there's a place you can exit here if you want to come into your lunge now, or on the inhale, extend back to three-legged dog. With the knee still bent, open the hip on the right side. Push more firmly into the left hand. Stabilize. Neutralize through the upper body. Inhale back to three-legged dog with the knee bent. And now we'll all take a big step forward into crescent lunge. Knee down if you need to. On the inhales, you stand into the right leg, rise up into the lunge. Keep pushing out through the back heel, lifting through the inner left thigh, deepening that lunge over the knee as long as that is right for your body. Palms hug toward each other. Lift a little bit more through the heart. Find midline here again with feet hugging toward each other, inner thighs hugging toward each other. And on the next exhale, frame it out. Step back to your down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Good. Knee bends, heel to sit bone. Exhale, come through core plank here. Letting the shoulder blades come apart, really trying to put space between you and the floor. Then on the inhale, extend back to your three-legged dog. Shoulder blades come back onto the back. Knee opens to the left, ground down into the right hand. And using the outer left hip muscles to take that knee a little wider. Inhale back to three-legged dog with the knee bent, and now big step forward. Again, you can be knee down here if that is better for you on this side or both sides. And as you stay deep in the lunge, inhale to rise up. Good. Back heel presses away, inner right thigh lifts, deepen through the lunge. A little bit more space from knee in the front of you to the knee behind you. Full breath in, and on the exhale, frame it out. Take a big step back once more. Little bend to both knees. As you send the inner thighs back, let the heels get a little heavier. And as we come into probably our third down dog here now, maybe just noticing if the backs of the legs have a little bit more openness than before. Heels do not have to touch the floor, but we may be working toward that. And on your next inhale, come up really high on the heels. And on your exhale, walk, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat, Uttanasana, making use of the blocks so that rather than just being here in a forward fold, let this be an opportunity, at least initially, to create more stretch through the backs of the legs. So the blocks will bring our body up a little higher, our torso up a little higher,
and allow us to have straighter legs. When we have tightness through the back of the body there, that's the thing that requires us to have knees bent or to affect how we fold forward. Nice. Inhale, if you're using the blocks, unbend the elbows so you're like 90 degrees to the floor. And on the next exhalation, maybe you add a little bend to the knees. Maybe you've been here for 2 breaths now and there's some more release. And we start to bend the elbows wide to fold in with longer legs. Good. Inhale, come back up to halfway once again. Bend the knees deeply. You can bring hands to thighs, hands to hips, whatever gives you some support as you come up through the torso. Take a look down so you can see your toes in front of the knees. If not, we have to sit back just a little bit further. Lengthen through the arms so you're tall in your chair. And if this feels nice and stabilizing, stay here. Or reach your arms up and overhead. Shoulders down the back. Exhale, sit a little deeper. Nice. On the inhale, stand through the feet to rise up, get tall. Exhale for your mountain pose. Choose your mountain pose. Can be feet touching, can be feet hips width distance. Your choice. Good. Hands hugged to alongside the body. Feel how that opens and lifts the front of the chest. Just a thing to notice how this feels on the body. Bring your hands a little bit further forward. Then you bring hands to touch in front of the body. Pinky fingers to touch. As the palms are touching, maybe the hands try to reach back a little bit more toward the thighs or to wherever that might be on your body. Just feel how that is in the shoulders. We're going to play a little bit with locust pose today. This is a Shalabhasana variation from Ashtanga Yoga. Not going to be for everybody, but we'll see how it feels. On the inhale, release the hands alongside you. Shake out the shoulders. Felt tight, congested coming here in this way a little bit, somewhat? All right. We'll do some more with that and see how it is. There'll be variations that we do not have to be laying on our body like this or on our forearms like this. Let's move through a sun salutation, pick up the pace, and start getting into stuff. Inhale to reach up and lengthen. Good. Exhale, sit down into the chair, Utkatasana. Lift through the heart. And on the next exhale, sit a little deeper as you start to hinge, making more of a belly to thigh connection here. Hands find the floor. Legs move towards straight. Maybe not quite as much because we don't have the blocks there. Next inhale, come up just enough. You can step one foot back and then the other. Plank pose. So we're doing Surya Namaskar B. That's the one with Chaturanga Dandasana, up dog, and more lunges. You do not have to do all of that. You can stick with Surya Namaskar A and come all the way to the floor for Cobra. On the exhale, your choice, either to the floor for Cobra or elbows bend as the heart reaches forward, lower halfway down for Chaturanga. You can lower the knees for the transition if you need to. As you untuck the toes, whichever variation you're in, Cobra or up dog. Good. Exhale back to the floor or Chaturanga. Inhale back to down dog. Right foot takes a big step forward. You can stay low here, hands to the floor, or inhale, come up for just one nice full breath. Exhale to pull down, lift. Shoulder blades hug toward each other. Inhale to extend back up, frame it out, step back, down dog. You can pause here or come forward, continue with the flow. Plank for your portion to the floor in the back bend. Keeping the shoulders lifting, heart forward, core strong. Exhale to come back down. Make your way back up. When you find yourself in down dog, just keep on moving. Left leg lifts. Exhale, take a big step forward. Inhale to rise up for your crescent lunge. Lift. Inhale, pull down to lift through the heart. Reach up, exhale, frame it out. Last time for some of us in the sequence, plank pose, Chaturanga or the floor, Bhujangasana for Cobra, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana for up dog. Making our way back to down dog. Hit really high up on the heels.
Inner thighs press back. Exhale, deepen as the heels get a little closer to the floor, maybe a lot closer to the floor. Next inhale, heels lift really high. Walk, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Noticing how this is in the body. Using more of your core energy, your muscle power, your inner fire to pull you into the forward fold rather than letting gravity drag you into it. On the next inhale, rise up to your chair pose. Any of the options that we played with? Good. Thighs hug to center, shoulder blades hug to center, hands hugging to center. On the inhale, stand tall, tall mountain, palms to the sky. You can turn the palms forward, hook the thumbs. As you stay heavy through the feet, especially the heels, inner thighs reach back as hips reach forward. Open the heart toward the sky. Anuvattasana, standing back bend. Inhale to rise up. Exhale for mountain. And one more time, wiggle through the shoulders. Shake out the legs. Settle into stillness. Notice how it feels in the body, how it feels in the room. We're getting there. Next inhale, hands come to hips. Settle weight into the right foot. Take a look to see both your second toes are pointing straight forward. On the next inhale, left heel lifts. Knee can open wide, heel to ankle. Maybe it is sole of the foot to the shin. Maybe it is sole of the foot to the inner thigh for Vrikshasana or tree pose. As much as this foot is pushing into the standing leg pushes back so that our hips stay very in line with that standing leg. But find your stability. If there's any other variations you like to play with this, arms overhead, reaching out to the side. Always come to a place of stability. Create other instability to find new stability. Good. With the next in-breath, bring your hands back down to heart center. Keeping this knee lifted or come to stand with both feet on the ground if you need to. Knee carries forward. Good. Bend the knee even deeper, heel to sit bone. Taking the knee wide but letting the foot come forward, we're going to bring ankle onto thigh. Some of us will stand here in a figure four shape. Some of us will start to bend through that front knee, standing leg. Figure four chair, keeping left foot flexed, keeping left knee heavy. Make use of the wall around you. If you're folding forward, make use of blocks. Maybe for some of us folding forward, we start to bring forearms to touch the shin. We keep right hip reaching back. We keep left hip reaching to the left rather than forward. And we're here on the transition. On the inhale, unhinge from the hips. Again, you can come to stand if you need to, or keep your left knee bent and lifted. Good. Inhale to reach up or airplane wings, your choice. This is going to be a little bit more stabilizing. Hinge from the hips as you reach forward or lean forward. Left leg kicks back. Slowly bend that standing leg to land in another crescent lunge. Once you do, it is the least graceful way of getting back into it. Adjust as you need to. Lengthen, widen your stance, whichever you might need. Good. Inhale, rise up one more time. Good. On the exhale, left hand to the floor, right hand to the sky. A twist here in our crescent lunge. Moving here. Inhale, frame it out. Take a big step back with that right foot. Maybe keep the right foot floating. So instead of plank, we find ourselves here in three-legged plank. Thighs hug to center. Even if you're in full plank, thighs hug to center. On the exhale, if you still have your right leg lifted, bring your right foot to the floor. Some people will lower it into tabletop for some support for side plank. That'll be both knees to the floor, right knee stays down, right foot comes off the mat, left foot steps back and spins down. We'll see if anybody wants that or needs that. I'll give you the cues once I take a look. Otherwise, We're going to roll to the blade edge of the right foot, inner edge of the left foot. So there's a twist happening here through the body first. Then as we ground more completely into the right hand, inhale, left hand to the sky. For those of you in the table variation, oh, you've got it. Everyone's looking good here. Nice. If you would like to, for those of us in plank, maybe instead of foot in front of the other, on the inhale, we lift left leg away from the floor. Stack the left foot on top of the right. Inner edge of both feet press away from you to stabilize and strengthen and lift the ankles. Good. On the exhale, spin back down to plank. You can lower the knees to the floor to come onto your forearms. You can stay in plank, lean a little bit to the left to bring right forearm to the floor. Lean a little bit to the right to bring the left forearm to the floor. Forearm plank. Tuck the pinky finger in of the interlaced fingers. Press the forearms into the floor so you feel a little bit of a lift through the torso and the head. Heels press back, inner thighs lift, core engages. Take the feet as wide as the mat. With a little bend to the knees. We're going to come through this the second time, so this is our prep here for maybe next time. Walk the feet forward toward the elbows. Keeping the knees as bent as much as you need to, but keeping the back of the head lifting for dolphin pose. Possibility for some shoulder stand stuff in the future. Good. While everyone is here and wondering when we're going to come out of this, I was reading a little bit and it was saying, if you want to move to forearm stand, you should be able to do like 10 breaths in dolphin. If you're in your 10 breaths in dolphin, come out of it. If you're not in 10 breaths in dolphin and you're done, come on out of it. Walk the feet back, find your forearms, or find your forearm plank, knees to the floor so that there is this release in the body after dolphin. Good. Come back up onto hands. You can pause in table. Some people may want to move through Vinyasa flow. We're going to come back to stand, however you would like to get there. Maybe it is through the Vinyasa flow, rising up to down dog. Inhale, coming forward for plank. Exhale. Inhale for the back bend. And making our way back to down dog. Walk, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat. Notice how this feels. You can rise up through chair. You can roll up the spine. We're coming back to mountain. One more time with the hands slightly in front of us, trying to bring the palms to touch, but the arms as close to the body as we can get them. Safely that we can get them. Feels all right. Good. Release hands down by your side. Draw shoulder blades back onto the back. Hands to hips as we settle into the left foot. Inhale, right heel lifts, knee opens wide. Make your way into your Vrikshasana, second side, adjusting it as it needs to be for your body. If any part of the foot is touching the knee, just be very mindful about the pressure that's being applied to the knee in this direction. It likes to do this. It doesn't like to do this. If there is any other variations you would like to do with this from this place of stillness, commit to creating some instability for yourself to return to stability. Good. Nice, everyone. Next, exhale. Bring your hands back to heart center. Carry the knee forward. Stand down with both feet if you need to for a second. We'll come back up to this modified Panagustasana A. Then the heel or the knee bends even deeper. Knee opens wide and the foot comes forward so we can place ankle onto thigh, foot stays flexed. Staying here in a standing figure 4 shape, or start to settle down into chair. Noticing how the body wants to start to rotate or revolve around that standing leg. And you keep left hip reaching back.
sit bone to heel, right knee staying heavy. And in another breath, if there's space for some of you, maybe we start to fold in a little bit more. Maybe it is forearms and shins connecting. Good. Nice. On the inhale, slowly come up. Again, stand if you need to with both feet, or keep right knee, Padangusthasana A variation, airplane wings or arms overhead. And on the inhales, you hinge from the hips. Reach forward as you kick back. Start to bend that standing leg. Make your way down into your crescent lunge. Adjusting, I was about to say fixing. Let's adjust as you need to for this. Inhale, rise up once you do, and with that midline energy. So we're stabilizing here through the hips. We're going to bring right hand to the floor, left hand to the sky, or however you know that you like to twist. It could be left hand pressing into the left thigh instead of reaching up. Good. On the next inhale, unwind from the twist. Step back to plank or three-legged plank with the left leg lifted. Thigh keeps hugging to center. Keep reaching out through the heels. And hold the breath here, or not hold the breath, hold for a breath. Different thing. On the exhale, bring both feet to the floor. You can bring knees to the floor if you're going to take your modified side plank here with the left knee down, left foot off to the side. Otherwise, we roll to the outer edge of the left foot, inner edge of the right, and as we ground down into the left hand, reach right hand to the sky. And we're really trying to push, so we're keeping space between the ear and the shoulder. It's not bracing us, but it is trying to lift us. Nice. If you have one foot in front of the other and you want to add a little bit more to this, lift that further foot out, stack it on top of the bottom foot, push through the inner edges of both feet, so we're looking out for our ankles. And on the inhale, unwind back to a plank. Maybe knees down this time as you come to forearms. Or from your plank, lean to the right as you come onto the left. Lean to the left as you come onto the right forearm. Forearm plank. If you'd rather not take another dolphin pose, you can turn this into Sphinx pose, where you lower the hips to the floor, forearms move to parallel, supported back bend. Otherwise, taking the feet wide again or keeping them closer, push into the forearms as the feet start to walk toward the top of your mat. Keeping the head lifting and feeling, sensing shoulders staying over the elbows. And you can lift one leg, you can lower it and lift the other leg. The people in Dolphin, did you start counting your breath as soon as you got into Dolphin? Inhale, start to walk the feet back. You can lower fully to the floor. You can take child's pose. If you're in Sphinx posture, come out of it. Let the body relax. Is everybody feeling pretty warm in their bodies? All right. Separate from the heat here. We've got it down to 76. Good. Plant the hands however you need to. You're going to press yourself back up either to table, to have a seat in Vajrasana, or to sit in Sukhasana, whatever feels more comfortable for you. And we're going to play with some options here for Shalabhasana. So everyone's familiar with locust pose, right? Back bend here, we're on our back, or not possible. We're in a back bend here on our bellies. Hands reaching back, typically. Can also be hands forward. The option here for some of us is whether you have hands forward or back, not trying to lift both at the same time, but doing this like X-shape action through the body here of right leg lifting, left leg, left hand or arm lifting. Right hand is pressing down to support the lift. Left foot is pressing down to support the lift. You come down, switch sides. You may get to a point where you decide you want to do both together. We're doing a lot here through strengthening the back. Are people familiar with Bikram yoga, Ashtanga? More shoulder work in Shalabhasana. We don't do a lift, or they don't. We don't do this pose here a whole lot, this variation. We don't lift a whole lot through the chest in this variation. But we do want to know and feel how that is on the shoulders. And so what it looks like here is leaning a little bit to one side, right hand and right arm coming underneath the front side of the body, thigh resting on the back of the palm, leaning a little bit to one side. We're laying here on the body, chin down maybe, more likely nose down. We're pushing into the floor, and maybe we practice here with lifting one leg, lifting the other leg. Maybe we get to a place where we start to lift both away from the floor. And as I'm contracting through the back body to lift through the legs, I'm pushing into the hands, into the arms to stabilize. If you're interested in at least trying it, the first thing you're going to want to do is just to find a space where you can rest on the front of the body to see how that feels through the elbows, all right? If it's not right for you, you'll come to arms alongside or arms overhead, and you can do the one leg at a time, one leg, one arm variation, all right? If you're interested in trying that, you're going to start to come face down. If you're going to take either of the other two variations, I can give some cues if you would like to. Feel free to start to come into it as you feel ready. Both the hands reaching back and palms down, you lift a little bit to one side and you have to wiggle that arm underneath. And it is shoulder blade coming apart to give you that support. We take shoulder blade apart on the other side, so we have that width through the back body to bring us closer together on the front body. Chin down or nose down. More likely nose for most of us if this is really new for you, at least a place to start. We're going to lift one leg at a time, whichever leg is best for you. Some people are doing different variations, so we're just going to go with what feels right for your body. We lift, we exhale and lower. We inhale and lift the second side. And exhale and lower. And you can continue with your breath here for about 4 more rounds. Or you can start to come to a place where you are either lifting both arms and both legs away from the floor, or just both legs away from the floor if you have your arms underneath you. Also noticing here, if you're switching to both legs at a time, what does that do to the sensation in your elbows? We need those. Yoga can be fun. We don't need yoga to hurt us. And when you're done, nice people, when you're done with some play there, you release the hands from underneath you, make a little pillow with the head, or with the hands, with the forearms to rest the head on. Good here with time. Catch your breath, notice how it feels in the body here. And then as you're ready, you're going to plant your hands alongside the body. Press yourself up through table or plank, back to down dog. Good. Really ground into the hands. Really feel that the pointer finger knuckle mound is pressing down. Take a look at the fingers. We're going to play here with Wild Thing or another version of Vashisthasana. So see that your pointer fingers are at least parallel to each other. Maybe more likely pointing away from each other, so the right pointer finger toward the right front corner of your mat. And just before we move any further, notice what that external rotation through the arms does, through the shoulders and through the upper back. You are getting sweaty in here. On the inhale, we're going to take right leg to the sky. Good. Keep that three-legged dog. Push off the standing leg to come into three-legged plank.
Again, if you need to come down to knees for support in Vashisthasana, you can. You can also do Wild Thing supported that way as well. Bring right foot back to the floor. Roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, inner edge of the left. And as you press into the right hand, take left hand to the sky. Notice how that feels through the wrist. You can heel toe your feet a little bit toward the back of the mat so there is less of an angle in your wrist. Maybe we get to a place of stacking the feet. Maybe we're lifting that left leg. Knee bends. Knee starts to open to the sky like we were doing in our standing tree. Ball of the left foot presses down into the floor. Lift through the hips. Lift through the heart if you're coming here into Wild Thing. And if you're in Wild Thing, inhale to unwind. Pause in plank if you need it. If you would like to, you can move through a chaturanga and an up dog, making your way back to plank ultimately for side 2 if you need some fire between your sides. Press back to down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts for 3-legged down dog. Inner thigh hugs to center, push forward to 3-legged plank. You can also take 3-legged plank with the knee down instead of the one foot that's there supporting you only. Then on the exhale, left foot finds the floor. Either come to table or start to move into side plank, adjusting the pressure in the wrist before you release the right hand to the sky. Adjusting your stance to release pressure in the wrist if you're stacking the feet, especially if you're lifting the right leg, knee bending, and inhale rising up to Wild Thing, second side. Nice. Looking good, everybody. Nice. Inhale to come back to your plank. Step back to down dog. I'm gonna come off the hands in just a second here. Inhale, right leg to the sky and take a big step forward. Before you rise up, we're gonna be coming here into Warrior One. Now that's an interesting movement on that back leg, and Warrior One is not right for everybody, in which case you'll stay in crescent lunge with that back heel lifted. For me, Warrior One is a slightly shorter stance. We've already taken a big step forward. That will look like your back foot stepping forward just a little bit. So you can spin the heel down and your left toes can point to the left front corner of your mat. And on the inhale, rise up either for your crescent or your Warrior One. You can widen your stance if you would like to. With the arms reaching up, palms hug to center, even if they don't move, but we're activating, we're creating more tension and more engagement through the upper back. Maybe the finger pads touch, maybe the palms touch, maybe the biceps close alongside the skull. Good. I should have said this before. I think we're going to be close to everybody. I can give support if we need to. On the inhale, keeping the arms reaching overhead, press your right foot down and forward to straighten that leg. Setting up here for pyramid posture, Parsvottanasana. Good. You can keep arms overhead. That's going to ask for more core work, more strength to protect the body. You can bring hands to the hips here if you would like to. On the exhale, maybe a little bend to both knees to free up movement through the hips. Left hip is coming forward, right hip is pressing back. And on the exhale, start to hinge forward, feeling about halfway or wherever it becomes, or if it becomes uncomfortable before that, knee bends right away, bring your foot to the floor, or your hand to the floor. Good. Those of you who are pausing here in the halfway point. On the exhale, come on to finger pads, framing out that front foot. You're probably noticing a little bit of a cat stretch feeling through the body. Make use of the blocks. We have another reason to make use of the blocks today, so we'll all start with using the blocks. And just like in our first Uttanasana, use the blocks to make the legs straighter, longer, stretched. On the exhale, elbows start to bend wide and use the core work of the body and the shoulder blades hugging toward each other, pushing with control, with intention, the torso more into the forward fold. Keep the chin lifted ever so slightly. Good. Stay grounded here on the left hand. Reach your right hand out to the right. Turn your palm to the sky. Elbow bend so the back of that hand finds the low back. Now you have a marble in your hand. If the left hip is really dropping, it's going to roll out and down the back of your leg. Can you ground more into the left foot and feel the left hip lift and feel into neutral? And you can stay there, or you can release hands back to the blocks. Exhale, maybe folding in just a little bit more. Do that for one more breath only. And on the next inhale, press the arms towards straight. Lift through the back of the head. Take your blocks. I have mine in the medium setting, so I roll them back and they get a little higher. Then I roll them back and they get a little lower. And now my hands are a little bit more back behind the knee or the shin. If anyone's familiar with flamingo variation here, that's where we're playing with today. You can lift the blocks to their highest setting, framing out about where that knee is. Hands press firmly down. Put a little bend into that back knee. You're going to feel yourself drop back, but we're holding on to the blocks to support us. With weight in that front foot and pressing down into the blocks. Let the left foot get light. It's going to come forward. Let the knee bend so we have more of heel to sit bone. More of knees together. Yeah. Inhale to extend that left foot back again. What did I just do? Exhale, release. Bring the blocks a little bit more forward. Come a little bit more upright. Back foot steps forward. Inhale, come to stand. That's a good question. What the heck did we just do? For some of you who've been in class before, you've done this flamingo variation before. Let's see here, because we got the other side. We're with time. I'm also terrible with time for new people. Sorry. So there's a lot that's happening in this pose. We call this pyramid pose. It translates fully as intense side stretch, and that's usually what you're feeling through that front leg as we continue to fold in and fold in and fold in. Shoulder blades coming apart as we play with a couple of times. But if we're moving into something that asks for more strength through the body, we want the shoulder blades on the back, right? That gives us strength and stability and good alignment and good integrity in the posture. Pushing down is giving us support. This back knee bends some. We're going to lean back quite a bit as that happens, but it is about putting more weight into that big toe ball mountain in the front, more pressure into both hands so we can stabilize ourselves as we carry knee forward. We want the knees to be in line. Heel as close to the sit bone as you can. Reach back, release. All right? We don't have to go that far. It's called intense side stretch. It's intense enough. So if you don't want to go any further, you don't have to. Just because of time, we'll skip the vinyasa portion here. We should have our left leg forward, right? So that's going to be the second side. Right foot steps back. Good. So you're going to find your crescent lunge, if that's better for you, or your warrior one, with that back toes opening here a little bit, giving you some opening through the hip on the right side now, right? Yes. Good. On the inhale, come into the lunge. Reach your arms up. Find Virabhadrasana 1 to start. Palms hugging the center, inner thighs hugging the center, feet hugging the center. Be very strong in your warrior one. Again, maybe it's finger pads touching, maybe it's palms touching, maybe it's biceps closing alongside the ears. Inhale to lift through the heart. Exhale to settle really firmly into that lunge. And on the next inhale, as you push your front foot down and forward, front leg moves towards straight. Back hip hugs forward, front hip hugs back. And on the exhale, hinging from the hips, maybe arms come alongside the body, we're going to come halfway forward, or wherever your stopping point might be. Make use of the blocks, make use of your hands to support you as you do so. We'll all find ourselves here
in pyramid. Front leg is towards straight. Good. Push into the blocks. Lift a little bit through the heart. Keep the chin lifting a little bit. And as we take more pressure into the hands, we give more space for the legs to stretch and to lengthen. On the exhale, start to lower in a little deeper, more of belly to thigh, maybe a little bit of chest to knee or shin. If you like that test here on the back on the other side, we got left foot forward, so you'll take your left arm out to the side, turn the palm to the sky, elbow bends as you bring it to the low back. Right outer hip lifts by grounding into the right heel if it feels like it's dropping too far on that side. Again, you can stay there or bring your hands back to the blocks. Fold in a little bit more after having adjusted the hips. Some of you will stay here for 2 breaths, and after our second breath, we'll move a little further for some of us. If you're going to give flamingo variation here a try, or I guess one-legged pyramid pose, inhale, come up halfway. Roll your blocks back or just move your blocks back to a space right around the knee or slightly behind it. So the hands are reaching back. Bring shoulder blades onto the back, stabilize and strengthen the upper body. As you bend the right knee, the body moves a little bit to the back side of your mat. Put more pressure into the blocks to support you as you lift left or right heel to right sit bone. Right knee carries forward some. Good. Nice. Inhale to extend that right foot back once again. A little bend to the knee to release your hands to the floor to make it a little less intense of a forward stretch. Then the front knee bends fully. Frame it out. Lift the back heel. Step your front foot back for plank. And on the exhale, come down onto the knees. And you can take a child's pose if you want to. You can take some cat-cow stretches if you would like to. We're going to come into bridge pose in just a second. For some of us, bridge pose will turn into forearm stand. Well, that would be, it could turn with a couple of other steps that way into shoulder stand. That's what I meant to say. As we were doing last time, we've got our blanket. You're going to unfold it just once. And this is true whether you're taking bridge or shoulder stand. This can be a nice place just to get familiar with this setup so that in the future, if you would like to, you have some support already built in muscle memory for your shoulder stand. We're going to want the blanket to be under our bodies, so we'll take the unfringy part, that's a word, right? Unfringy part, non-fringy part, to face the top of your mat. So that's the part where the top of your shoulders come to rest. And already now I've got another, whatever the quarter inch, half an inch between me, my neck, and the floor. Our feet are grounded, just like bridge pose any other way, and just noticing how this lift is through the upper back. I'll give some cues for people who might want to move on to shoulder stand. Other thing you can do real fast, if you know you're coming into shoulder stand and you would like some extra support as well, you can do bridge with your feet on blocks. So we're lifted a little higher. It can sometimes make it a little easier, depending on your body, to bring your hands onto the low back, to lift one foot to the sky, other foot stays on the block. Body curls up to ultimately lift both feet to the sky. I'll give cues for that. Let's get into it though. Ooh, blocks stopping me. There we are. And we've been doing a lot with forward folding as well, for the purpose of giving some of us, our bodies, the chance to be ready for halasana or plow pose if you would like to. If you have no idea what that is, or you know it's not for you, you're not required to ever do it. So feel though into the body that our feet are parallel, that our feet are hips width distance, And with our elbows alongside the body, fingers to the sky, push into the back of the head, push into the shoulder blades, into the triceps, into the feet, to send hips to the sky. And we can keep arms alongside the body. We can lengthen the arms and reach toward the heels, palms down, so you have more to press down into. And for those of you who have the blanket, just notice how this feels on the blanket. And if you're not going further, that's fine, but we probably want this for the rolled up part here to be here on you. So more of the blanket underneath you. Yeah. Good. If anybody is interested in coming up into Shalabhasana and you have your own way of getting into it, feel free to start to do so. For those of you who are not, we're just going to take a little test here. You're going to bring your arms back alongside you into robot arms in your bridge pose, and just notice what it takes to get the thumbs, to hook the thumbs underneath your low back with the elbows still alongside your body. Good. If it's really tight in there, then you're probably not going to lift yourself up, at least not without using blocks. But you can come down from your bridge. You can roll into yourself, knees toward the forehead to lift the low back and the butt away from the floor, so the hands can come in and support more of a lift for a shoulder stand. And if you're in shoulder stand, it's a shoulder stand. We don't want to feel pressure in the neck. We want the legs to be straight up more so than not. So if there is an intention to come to Halasana or plow pose, maybe you start to bend the knees and bring the knees towards your forehead. That's the intermediate part, because we want to have feet touching the floor. Otherwise, gravity is constantly pulling and pulling and pulling. And so if you can get knees to forehead, you might start to extend one leg out to see if you can get the foot to the floor. You might try the other one. People are looking pretty good here. Take your variations, your point of comfort or not in your body. Good. For those of you who know shoulder stand and know Halasana, your counter pose is going to be fish posture, Matsyasana. For those of you who are in bridge or any version thereof, slowly come out of your bridge pose. Let the knees collapse in as you take the feet as wide as the mat, and make some movements left and right, both knees to one side. Inhale to center, exhale to other side. Those of you who are doing Matsyasana, you can stay in it a little bit. We played with flying fish last week. If you know that and love that option, go for it. If you're doing this flowing side-to-side movement, you can stay for a full round of breath on each side. Deepening the stretch. There's internal rotation happening in one leg, external rotation happening in the other, and then we switch sides. And if you're in Matsyasana, start to come out of it. If you're in this flow through the legs, next time you come up from the second side, stay in the middle and pause. Draw both knees into the chest. You can take hold of the thighs as you take the knees as wide as the outer shoulders for Happy Baby and Nanda Balasana. Hands can hold the thighs. You can take hold of the shins. You can take yogic toe lock. And you'll notice to do that, you probably have to bring the shoulder blades apart once again. We're going to be there for just a second, very intentionally finding that spaciousness through the back body. Then we're going to start to hug shoulder blades toward each other as we try to bend the elbows to pull down, trying to bring knees more to the outer shoulders toward the floor. It might only be a millimeter more. That's fine. And you can choose to be here in a place of stillness. You can rock a little bit left and right. Returning to stillness once again. Releasing your arms and legs, maybe rolling up just enough to lift off the blanket if that feels uncomfortable, or if you'd like to do something different with the blanket. Coming into your Shavasana. Either one which is very much about no effort, right? It's just like mountain pose on our backs, essentially with the palms spun up. Let everything be in a rested position. If you like a little bit more with the hip opener, you can come into Baddha Konasana legs, where you take the knees wide and the soles of the feet to touch. Be here for just about 2.5 minutes. Similar to where we started each exhale, releasing distractions in the body and the mind. Some of them are about before and after this practice. Some of that tension might be about this practice. Can the breath release? Can the breath deepen? And you settle into stillness a little more completely. Let the breath be as natural as it's going to be here, without forcing it to change pace or where you feel it in the body. Let your next breath be deeper than the last. And your next breath deeper still. Bringing in little movements to the body, the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Turn the head a little bit from side to side. Whatever kind of movement just feels good as you come from depth back to the surface. Back to this time and space beside each other in class. And you can start to take some bigger, more intentional movements. You can extend the legs, reach arms overhead, stretch toe tips away from fingertips, heels away from fingertips, toes away from fingertips once again, before drawing knees and elbows to your center, giving yourself a nice big hug, maybe fully coming into Upasana here as a final pose before Sukhasana. And you can rock and roll up to have a seat, spinning somewhere along the way to face the front of the room, or roll off to your one side. Returning to this shape and this seat and this pose where we started just about an hour ago. And hands resting on the thighs. You can stay here or bring hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra once again. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, and let each breath be an opportunity just to show you the subtle and sometimes not so subtle shifts and changes that happen through the mindful movement part of yoga. And this exploration through the body feels meaningful. Continue to do that with the breath. If you'd like to join with me in the sound of one Om, exhale completely. To inhale fully. The light in me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste, everyone. Thank you everyone for coming out today, for braving the weather outside. We kept it pretty cool in here. It worked, it came down. Things while you're getting yourselves together. This is my normal class time. Mondays at 6:30 p.m. is my normal class time. I have nothing taking me off the schedule there for the foreseeable future. And the only one that I know that is definite is Labor Day, when I won't be here, because there'll probably be just one class that morning. That's usually how we do it on the holidays here. But if you like to come to other classes, if there are things you'd like to work on, you can find me on Instagram, bsyogi215. It's mostly pictures of my dog. Occasionally there's some yoga stuff on there. But you can message me and say, hey, I'm in your Wednesday class. Can we do this? Or could we do this in Monday? And I'll build some things around you and not just whatever else it is that is giving me my own ideas about it. I also know, thank you for the people who come on Monday at 6 p.m. I'm competing, or at 6:30 with me. I'm competing with a free class at the waterfront. So it's either free and hot or paid and cool. I'm always here on Monday at 6:30 while everybody else is out on the pier. That's on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at 10. Also Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 6:30. Sliding scale classes here between $5 and $10 for people who are interested in early morning yoga and wanting to take a class with the latest graduates from our teacher training program that just finished up about a month ago. So there are opportunity to be in front of rooms with students for maybe a first time for some of them. And then beginning September 27th, the next 50-hour yoga immersion leading into the 200-hour teacher training begins with Anisha and Adriana. There's stuff going on, interviews and such. If you'd like to do that, check that out. And this Friday, Teen Yoga Connection with Nicole is happening on Friday the 12th from 10 to 11:30. Kids Yoga Fun Night is later that day from 5:30 to 8:30. Definitely a split between teens and kids. And then this weekend is The Art of Moving the Birthing Body with Alyssa. And next weekend is Foundations of Teaching Beginners Yoga with Eric. Enjoy, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody online. I'm glad that there was not any sort of internet issues because we were getting error messages over here, so thank you.